let me say it this way, because you know I'm always going to tell the truth, right? Okay.
First and foremost, Happy New Year. We are back. Let's get it. Welcome to the Tech School Podcast, powered by DSBT. I'm back in the building, Josh, with my man,
Mr. Harris today.
Okay, Mr. Harris.
Mr. Harris.
How do you do at the top of the hour?
I feel 2023-ish.
23-ish?
Ish.
But
Yeah.
2023 is here.
Yeah, it feels different than 22.
It does feel different.
You know,
Mhm.
I don't know if you got this sensation like when you go from one year of age to the next, but it's kind of like you go from 49 to 50, right?
Mhm.
So we just went from 22 to 23,
Right.
and I feel totally different.
In what way?
I'm just saying, I feel older. I'm just saying. Just saying, man. I feel older. I feel like in the matter of just a couple weeks, I got older.
Uh-huh.
So
Now, mentally, physically,
both.
Okay.
Both. I'm working on it, Josh. I'm
Yeah.
still, I try not to do the New Year resolution thing.
Mhm.
I'm definitely trying to be more health conscious,
Right.
and at the same time, just gravitating towards dealing with the whole, we're in a whole different year. I'm trying to do a lot of bigger things. So, the mental state of it is taxing as well. So
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Keep pushing forward.
Yeah. What about you though?
As far as
Everything, man. We just came. How long? It's been like a couple weeks since I saw you last.
It's been 2 weeks. Had a steady, chill holiday season for the most part. Just really kicked it with family and close friends. Nothing too crazy.
Mhm.
I'm glad.
Mhm.
Time to reflect, see what I've done, see what I know, what I want to do,
Mhm.
laser focused.
That's what I'm talking about right there. Yeah.
Like when you're at a certain point,
Mhm.
personally, professionally, all of the above,
Mhm.
that's what it is.
Okay, so
Yeah.
why weren't you doing that back in October? Why did it take for the calendar to turn for you all of a sudden say, listen, man, I'm going to do something different?
No. It's not necessarily do something different. More so for me, because you don't want to go into details. You know what you are set out to do. You have internal goals up here. So I've always been on that course.
Okay.
So in October, I was still on that mindset. But as time progresses and you keep doing more and more things, it goes deeper than knowing the path, but walking the path.
Okay. Thank you. That sounded real Confucius at the end. I'm just
Okay. How about this? Have you seen the Rocky movies?
Quite a number of them. Yeah.
Quite a number of them. Have you seen Rocky 3? Clubber Lang, Mr. T.
Yeah. Of course.
Okay. Second fight, Rocky, Clubber Lang.
Okay.
Final round.
Okay.
Rocky's getting bashed around. Rocky's doing his crazy fighting style.
Okay.
All right. Apollo says, "What the hell are you doing?"
Okay.
What the hell are you doing?
All right.
And Rocky is saying, "It's strategy. I know what I'm doing. I promise you, I know what I'm doing."
All right.
And Apollo yells at Rocky and says, "Don't tell me what you think. Go out and do, Rock."
Right.
It comes a point when you just have to go out and do.
Yeah.
And that's where I am. And I feel like that's part of where you are too. Or probably more so there too as well.
Yeah.
Same page. Speaking in a different way, but same page.
Yeah, man. I mean, I think that the year does kind of usher in like a lot of reflection in regards to what's life.
There we go.
And how much more time do I have in this vessel, and what are some of the things I want to accomplish before I'm met with fate? I mean, so you definitely take on a whole nother sense of this next phase.
Yes.
And I don't necessarily give that an age. I just say that is, I think as you get older, it's just definitely something you should be taking, perspective of. And so, yeah, this is the year we're going to do great things. But I tell you, we said this last year too, though. We said it.
Well, it's a combination of reflection, gratitude, elevation, staying the course, sticking with the plan. There are people who can go back and forth on things they are trying to succeed. A key factor is, can you stay the course? Can you stick with the plan? As adversities are thrown your way, it becomes more and more difficult to remain steady.
That's powerful. You know, that's why you get paid the big dollars to do these things. I'm just saying. Everybody remember, that's Josh Landon. I'm just saying.
I'm only trying to speak a little common sense.
Right. Why don't we just bring on right now somebody to help us speak a little common sense about what's happening in the tech world? We already know who she is, right? Let's do it. That's what I'm talking about, everybody. Everybody, we once again bring on Miss Amber Boone.
Hey. Happy New Year, Amber.
Happy New Year.
Yes, welcome. How is it your day going on this fine Tuesday? A little sunshine here in Metro Detroit yesterday, and somewhat partly cloudy today, but
I was looking outside,
a little bit of that forecast.
Say whatever.
I said I was looking outside like, what sunshine he talking about?
Listen, you and me. I'm sitting here. You said sunshine.
I mean,
instantly, I'm looking outside.
On Monday, we got sunshine. We did get legitimate sunshine on Monday. On this Tuesday, partly cloudy.
Okay.
But you can still see some spots of sun. It's brighter outside. It's brighter. It's brighter outdoors, as it has been cloudy and gloomy.
Listen, I see why he didn't necessarily make the meteorologist report.
I know what I see, man. I know what I see.
Amber, how are you?
I'm good.
Definitely want to get you into some of this tech news that's been happening over the last 2 weeks that we haven't been here. So why don't you bring us up to speed?
Yes. Okay. So very exciting update for TikTok. They're adding scrubbing to the video. So I don't know about y'all, but if you ever come across a video on TikTok where it's a longer video and you just want to fast forward to the point or fast forward to something, or even if it's a video that you've already seen, but you're trying to find a specific part of it, a lot of videos don't even let you move the thumbnail. But now not only are they letting you move that, but also they're showing the video scrubbing, so you can get to the point of the video that you're looking for, which is a very much needed feature in my opinion, and very exciting. It's not completely rolled out yet. Not everybody has it, but I think it's going to be really valuable once it does fully roll out.
So how so you say it's not necessarily rolled out? It's like in a beta phase or something?
It's not in a beta phase. It's just you know how they just pick select groups to roll things out to first, and then they roll it out to the general public.
Yeah, I'm part of the general public because I don't get access to these tools before anybody else, right? So
I don't know if you've noticed, but anytime you are able to like fast forward or rewind a video, you have that little line at the bottom that you can kind of control with your finger, but it doesn't show you where you're going. It doesn't show the video with it. It's just the line. Now with the video scrubbing, you'll actually be able to see the video, so you can see what part of the video you're fast forwarding to.
Do you use that feature?
Absolutely.
Yeah,
I'm always, especially I'm like, get to the point, you know.
Yeah.
I'm very much like, a lot of times people want to hook you, and then they want to keep you on the video longer because it helps them, but I don't care about all that. I just want to get to the point.
I use it YouTube. I use it on my videos that I watch, and whether it be Prime or whatever the case may be, I know for a fact that I use that feature. So why did it take TikTok so long to implement that, something that all the other platforms have been using for years?
And isn't TikTok supposed to be more hip, more modern, more with it?
Well, because I think that TikTok is known for its short videos, so there wasn't really a need for it. If you're doing 15-second videos, like, what are you trying to fast forward to? Calm down, it's 15 seconds. But now that they've upgraded, like I know we got the attention span of a goldfish, but 15 seconds you can wait. But now that there are longer videos, 60-second, 3-minute videos, then this feature becomes more needed.
And you know what? And it's so funny that you would say that, 15 seconds. But these videos, when they catch your 15 seconds, it seems like they're 3 hours.
Very true.
I mean, it really does, right? So I still need to see where I'm trying to go in those 15 seconds, because some of them, sometimes they really are taking, those extra 5-7 seconds in order to like give me a bunch of fluff.
Yeah.
I mean, and that's just the way I feel. And so it does help me if I'm able to fast forward through a lot of that, especially if I see your video already for 15 seconds and there's a spot in it that I found more interesting than the rest of it. I need that.
So the benefit to the creators is that you can, in your analytics, see where people are spending the most time on your video. So if there's a part of your video where you mention something specific and you see that that's where an increase of viewer time is, then you you can create more content around that particular subject.
Yeah. TikTok, good job. By the time you guys did that, I'm just saying.
And they have another feature they're rolling out. Where they are going to gently nudge people when it's bedtime. So you can actually go in your TikTok app and set up your bedtime to say you want to go to sleep, by 10 o'clock or 11 p.m. It will nudge you and let you know, because a lot of people look forward to, getting in bed and scrolling through the TikTok, and they can get lost in TikTok for hours. Next thing you know, it's 2-3 o'clock in the morning and you're looking at, how to remodel your bathroom using household items or whatever. And you got to be up in 3 hours.
So what's the nudge feature? How does this work? Is it like a vibration in your hand or what?
No, so it's actually in the app, and it's actually, if you have an iPhone, like I have my iPhone set up to where it lets me know when I'm supposed to be like winding down. So it's very similar to that, except for it's in the TikTok app. So as you're scrolling, it will remind you. You can go and set it up under screen time in the TikTok app. But then it tells you that, it's time to go to sleep. It's bedtime. Bedtime is approaching. Bedtime is here, to try to, again, gently nudge you. Of course, you can override it. Even now, like I have my screen time set up for, I only allow myself so much time on TikTok. And every day it reminds me, like, you only have 15 minutes left. And I'm like, disregard for today.
So what's the point of segment up?
Here we go, TikTok. Here we go.
No, here we go, Amber.
A for effort, TikTok. They're trying to be mindful of our mental health and keeping us off, the app. But the feature can be overridden. And like I said, I literally override my screen time every single day on TikTok.
Are you the person that sets the alarm clock and every time it goes off, you hit snooze, 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 snooze?
Listen, I have an alarm clock that has a sound and light feature, and I have 2 alarms on there. So the light and the sound go off, and I have it set for 2 different times. I have my phone alarm, and I set my phone on the other side of the room at nighttime, and I get up and snooze them all like multiple times. It's horrible.
Absolutely. See, that's what I'm talking about. I don't know if that feature is a plus or a minus. I don't set an alarm clock. Josh, I know you get up in the wee hours of the morning.
Yeah, I need like 4 alarm clocks.
So my wife uses an alarm clock. I cannot stand it because it wakes me up, it seems, at 6 in the morning or
what
whatever
time do you normally wake up?
I get up whenever this body gets up. So if I need to be somewhere at 7 in the morning, I wake up. I wake up. Now, I may have a problem if I stay up through the night, which I do on a regular.
Right.
But often I can get up without a problem. I really can. And so I cannot tell you the last time I used an alarm clock.
Wow.
Cannot. I mean, but yeah, like my wife, man, every morning the alarm clock is going off. And I'm like, look, babe, can you turn that thing off? I guess some people need it. So I guess now in our apps, we now need an alarm clock.
Yes.
We need reminders. It's supposed to, be good for our mental health because they understand, the damaging effects I think that prolonged use of these apps have on us. And so they're trying to do their due diligence within the app to get us off so that they can't get sued for anything. They're like, well, we gave them a reminder. It was bedtime. So it's not our fault they're depressed.
Yeah. And I'm already in the midst of in the bed and I stay up for hours doing it. I mean, I will say that I am, one of the greatest perpetrators of that. All right. And lastly, what's happening with Twitter?
Okay, so Twitter is actually rolling out a really cool feature that I think people have been wanting for a long time, where you can search, and it's particularly for iOS users right now, but where you can search for specific tweets. So whether on your account or someone else's account, you can say, I know I tweeted about this restaurant back in 2016. I think it was in February. You can literally look like the name of the restaurant, February, some dates, mentions, hashtags, accounts, links. Like you have a really, I guess, like vast experience as far as like all of the things that you can choose from, that you can narrow your search down, not only on your account, but again, could be a good and a bad thing, because you know how people like to search through people's Twitter accounts from 20 years ago and say, oh my gosh, you used to think this, or you said this one time. So it can get scary, but also can be helpful. I'm always searching through, like on Facebook, I am always looking for old posts, messages that I sent, things like that. I love having that search feature. So for big Twitter users, this is huge.
Yeah.
Oh, I like this because it takes away from doing this. For at least 10, 15 minutes. Like, oh my
Facebook,
goodness.
Hello. Facebook, hello. I think Facebook needs. I know
it
that
sounds like maybe Facebook, Instagram, all the social media platforms should have a feature like this, because you think about that picture or post you made, as Amber, you just alluded to a moment ago, where, I want to show someone this, but you're scrolling for 10 minutes or so, and they're just standing over you like, all right, I'll wait for you. But
you're like, it's okay. I'm good. I don't even need to see it now.
We kind of lost the moment.
Yeah. I fall victim to that quite often. I think Facebook used to have a feature like that that would allow you to go to the month and the year in order to find some of those.
Bring it back.
But it's not there anymore, is it, Amber?
It's not. So I rely heavily just on the general search bar, and I'm like, I know I searched for it. They do have a little bit where you can say, like, you can search if it's a photo, if it's a post, if it's a link, and then you can narrow it down, like, did you post it, or did a friend post it? Like, you can, but it's not as advanced as this new Twitter feature that allows you to select dates, like in all of the different options that you have. So Facebook's gonna have to upgrade their search. And also, I don't feel like Instagram is very search friendly at all. Even their messages aren't really search friendly. So they need to update that as well. Take a note from Twitter.
You know what? I don't know about you guys, but Elon seemed like he's doing the thing at Twitter. I'm just saying. Look like he's up in their game. I mean,
He might be.
I think am I just making up things, Amber, or is it?
No, listen, I've been watching Twitter closely, because I'm everything that's happened. It's keeping me on my toes. Just what is going on. What are the changes that are being made? What's happening? And I know a lot of people are kind of waiting for him to fail, but I don't know what's going to happen.
Yeah, definitely. Once again, we want to thank you, Amber, for taking our time to come and bless us today. And if everybody or anybody is wanting to follow you on social, where can they find you at?
At Real with AB.
Get real. What does the get real? What does that mean? You never explained it to us. What does it mean, get real?
Get real with AB.
Okay, so let's start backwards. I'm AB. All right, so AB.
Amber Boom.
So when I used to do my own podcast, 30, Flirty, and Thriving, the end of the intro was always, it's time to get real. Like that was like, so getting real, keeping it real. That's just kind of like, I keep it real, whatever. When I entered real estate, I was like, well, what can my slogan be? Like, what is my tagline? And so I was just like, get real with AB, because I feel like that encompasses everything that I do, from marketing to real estate to the podcast. I'm gonna keep it real with you, and I'm gonna help you with real estate. And while I'm helping you with real estate, I'm gonna keep it real.
See, I would have never guessed it was that, but thank you for getting real, or real estate, or thank you for getting real with us.
Getting real with the clarification.
Hey, hope we'll see you next week. We appreciate everything. And remember, everybody, get real with AB.
All right.
Get real with AB. Real estate, real. I mean, okay. I felt that it was the real part in there, because that's primarily the reason, like, I like to see her coming back every week, because she does keep it real. So
100%.
Yep. I got it. All right. So we want to turn over to the next segment right now. The next segment, we're going to be bringing in one of our former guests,
right?
Doug Juilliard. Doug has some insight that I definitely wanted to have a conversation this week about things that have been going on in technology. I think that we've gotten away from it over the past, I don't know, maybe even a couple of months.
Yes.
And there have been, to me, some fascinating things that have been happening on the forefront of AI tools. And so I reached out to Doug and I wanted to get some insight from him because, of course, Doug is a developer. Doug has been doing this for quite some time, and he works through his own company, Shrine Development. And so without further ado, I would love to bring him on to have this conversation so he can give some value to our community in regards to what's happening in the world of AI. So everybody, why don't you give a round of applause to Mr. Doug Drouillard.
Doug, Happy New Year to you.
Doug, how are you?
I'm doing great. I'm down here in sunny Florida.
Florida?
Ooh,
Yeah.
Where in Florida?
Near St. Pete's Beach, near Tampa.
Okay.
Yes, we're doing 2 months down here. I did last winter. I did in Lexington, Michigan, and it broke my soul. So we're going someplace warm for a couple months.
Now you know
All
I'm
right.
jealous. You know I'm jealous. I mean, what do you mean you get 2 months? I barely got 12 days in Mexico.
Well, hey, let's talk about some tech and get you there, Carlos.
Ooh, I want to be just like him when I grow up.
Okay,
I want to be
okay.
like you when I grow up. So, Doug, I mean, we don't have to get into all the fanfare. We already know your background. You know, we know
Sure.
that you've been moving and shaking in the tech world for quite some time. Actually, how many years have you in the tech world?
Oh, okay, we're going on about 20 now. Getting old.
20 years.
Wow.
20 years in tech. Yeah,
I'm
graduated.
just about to pop my brakes for 1 second, right? 20 years.
Mm.
And I'm not saying Doug is not the sales guy, right? And when I say that respectfully, I know that there's a lot of different positions in the tech world.
Yep.
But Doug, what do you specifically do in tech?
So, Shrine Development at its core is a software development company. Means we make custom apps for other companies. So that would include Allergan, makers of Botox. That would include GameStop. That would include StockX in Detroit. We help them develop solutions and then launch them at scale. And
I don't.
so-
You just heard his Rolodex, right? He
Yeah.
just gave you StockX, right?
Absolutely.
Right. So you see how he gets to spend 2 months down in Florida.
Right.
There you go. You get out of tech, you gotta learn a little bit about sales. And that's the trick. That's the trick. You learn sales, but then you get people to think you're just a nerd.
Absolutely. So, Doug, go ahead, bring it home for us. So let me give you some context.
Yep.
One of the reasons why I really wanted to bring Doug in today to have this conversation is because I've been noticing an uptick in AI tool usage.
Yeah.
Oh yes.
You know, I myself, I've been using ChatGPT for
Yep.
quite some time now. I mean, within the first week that it actually came out, and I've been using also a number of the copywriting tools, and I find them so fascinating.
Yep.
And you know, my thing is this the evolution of the internet? And if so, where in the grand scheme of things does this AI play a part of that?
Sure.
If you can answer that.
Yeah, let's take a step back, right? Originally, computers were just meant to add numbers, right? And that's where they started. About 25 years ago, there was this field called machine learning. And that was the idea that machines could, if you presented them a bunch of data, they could kick out insights. And I actually did some work with machine learning. To give you an example, when I was getting my degree at Michigan, I worked with machine learning, and we were detecting tumors in breasts. And so there was different ways you could detect them, neural nets and support vector machines. And as a developer, I helped develop those solutions. So machine learning was sort of the buzzword for over a decade, and then AI sort of took over. And so to answer your question, I think we're going almost from evolutionary to revolutionary here with ChatGPT in terms of mainstream adoption. The idea is that with AI, it's going to increase at like exponential or geometric rates. And the theory is that's going to catch people off guard, because people are used to thinking about progress as this slow thing, and then it slowly builds up. I think right now we're sort of entering a period where the advancements in AI are sort of going to be breathtaking.
Yeah, Doug, what are some of the recent advancements in AI over the years?
Sure. So I think that the big thing that's happened is just the ease of use. Carlos mentioned ChatGPT, and I think the reason it's been like an oh wow moment has been just you can log on and you can start, and it understands what you're saying for the most part. And that ability to understand natural language, I think that's really the revolutionary part, because you use Siri, right? Like you ask Siri a question, and so I don't know. I stopped using it because most of the time it just said, "What do you want?" I can't do that, right? It's not helpful, and it was slower than just typing it in your phone.
Right.
Siri was supposed to be this AI companion that was able to solve all your problems, so you never had to search for anything again. And I think it failed. But now with ChatGPT, we're seeing the technology where it does understand what you're saying.
Hey, listen, it is scary. And I use that in a good context. I literally was using it last night. So in the description for today's show, it was actually written by ChatGPT.
Right.
Now, I like to express the fact that I believe it's a tool. And when I say a tool, it's no different than the hammer that the carpenter uses. Right? Yeah, sure. A carpenter, you could use a brick to nail something, but it's not an effective tool. The hammer is better for it. And so as I was getting ready for today's segment, and I needed that introduction, that script, I had ChatGPT write it out. Now, as a tool, I'm a writer by nature. In case you don't know, I did 4 novels. Look them up, right? And in knowing how to write, it writes it quicker. It has a thought there. I can just go in, clean it up, make it my own. Right. So I appreciate the technology for what it is. The scary part about it is when I go in and I say continue or no, write it a different way, it actually understands it and it follows the command. And I feel like I'm talking to a person.
Yeah, that is a scary part. And unlike using your hammer analogy, you go out and buy a hammer and you build a wall. You don't just say, hey, build me a wall, right? And that's what AI is almost doing, is rather than buying a hammer, you're just saying, build me a wall, and it'll build you a wall. You say, build me a wall that's 10 feet by 6 feet. It'll just build it for you, and it'll use the best standards known to man, and it'll do it flawlessly without complaining. I mean, that would be the analogy, and that's now the flawlessly, that's into the best of human standards. I think that's some of the pitfalls, but maybe that's what's coming up next. But I think it's that ability to add, like to say something like not just be a hammer, but build me a wall. That ability to like give it objectives rather than missions, or maybe that's not the right context, but to be like broader in your missions. I don't know a better way to phrase that is that's a scary. You're not giving it tasks. Let's put it that way. You're not giving it tasks. You're giving it like sort of objectives or outcomes.
So I see that as being the evolution of the tool, right?
Sure.
Because regardless if I'm saying that I need the hammer or I need the the mindset of whatever the technology is to do X, Y, and Z, it's an outward expression of me, right? I'm the one that's commanding it to do whatever. I command the hammer to put the nail in the wall. True. Right? Even though I may do it. But I don't want to say that it's an entity outside of me and give it a persona. And I know that that's a huge argument or a debate within the industry right now. Does it actually have feelings? Is it actually a person? And if that's the case, ultimately, how do we legalize it, or how do we, acknowledge the rights of it? I mean, we got a lot of scientific or science fiction. I don't want to say scientific, science fiction that's happening in the real-time applications of these devices, correct?
Absolutely. Yep. And I think that's, you're right. There is so much, there's so much to be discussed here, because AI has the appearance of understanding, but in some ways it's just regurgitating information. And there's a principle in software development and technology, which is garbage in, garbage out. Which means if you feed your AI bot a bunch of garbage, it's going to produce a bunch of garbage, right? It doesn't have the ability to say, oh, I think that information is wrong, I'm not going to accept it. It doesn't really have, that is a very good distinction. It doesn't have, at this moment, the ability to sort of take a step back. There is none. It consumes stuff and then it produces stuff. And then what's gotten really good is the ability to understand what Carlos is saying. But yeah, garbage in, garbage out. But then humans differ on what is garbage, right? Everyone has their different opinions. And I think that is going to be to the point of like legislation and like what's coming next. And we've already seen it with ChatGPT. You can ask ChatGPT, how is solar energy good for the world? It'll give you an answer. You ask ChatGPT, what roles does fossil fuels play in the future of the world? And it'll say, can't touch it. No, I don't make those types of answers. So it's like, interesting. You'll talk about solar, but you won't talk about fossil fuels. That seems a little bit biased. And so humans being biased creatures, they sort of, you'll see this. It's going to be very interesting because it does sound, I forget the actual term for it, but it always sounds confident when what it says to you. AI, like the responses you get, they sound very convincing. And so that can be a problem. If it's giving you wrong information very confidently, you got to watch out. You still got to use your human brain here.
How will AI change the way we work over the next 5 to 10 years?
I think the biggest impact is going to be, I see it on the education. Education is fundamentally going to have to change. We're already seeing reports of college professors saying, I give a take-home exam. This seems like a C-level student. All their papers are amazing. All the papers are A-level work. How are they doing this? And it's because they're going into ChatGPT and they're essentially typing in the prompts, tweaking some stuff, and then boom, here you go. Here's your paper, and it sounds good. But they didn't understand anything. And so that I think I've heard people say like they need to put ChatGPT back in the box because we're not ready for it. How do you go from an education system that used memorization and regurgitation as a core part of measuring performance and assuming capability or deriving capability to something where now it can, any prompt you give it, it can give you a reasonable answer. So
That's powerful.
Yeah.
That's powerful because, I truly believe that we are in a phase now where if it's on the computer, you can't tell the difference.
True.
Right. You have these AI bots, which we created one here at DSDT. Her name is Jamila, named after Jamie. And Jamila is an AI being, or better yet, she's an AI spokesperson for our medical assistant program. And Jamila only does what we put in her,
right?
And I am fascinated by it from this standpoint. Right now, it's whatever we put in her, but Carlos in this form is not going to be here forever. And should DSDT be around for the next 500 years, there will be a Jamila in whatever the form and able to engage with those that would be here in that time. And that is my forethought of the technology as it's being advanced at rapid spaces right now, and I just find that so fascinating. I don't know, maybe I'm just the only weird person in the room, but I'm looking at all of these advances that we've made in the last 10, 5, 1 year.
Yes.
Right. Think about this ChatGPT thing just started exploding over the last, 2-3 months?
Yep. Since December. But think about education being one spot, but the backbone of a lot of the internet is Google. Google, if you use Google recently, it's almost become an ads engine. You type something in the first half of it, if not more, is just all paid ads. And then even when you find something, it's clickbait. You very rarely do you come across organic content on the first page of Google. Right. It's paid ads, and then it's basically listicles that are designed for your keyword, probably sponsored by a big company. Well, with ChatGPT, you don't need to use a search engine. You would just ask ChatGPT. Well, if you do that, then there's no search ads. Well, if there's no search ads, that's fundamentally disruptive because a lot of startups are built with the concept of get us traffic and then we will advertise on Google and then that'll drive you to our site. Well, there is no Google to pull from. How do you get your message out now? Search ads have become such a cornerstone of how people get the word out about their products.
And so, of course, it disrupts the whole model, right? So we're talking about the early days of the Yahoo.coms and Yahoo messengers and AOLs, and where are they today? You know, so I'm sure that Google is scrambling with their, I think it's called Lambda AI project.
Yep.
They're scrambling no different than those predecessors in the early years of the .com boom. You know, so what happens to Google the day that I don't go to it anymore to search, when I can use on a regular ChatGPT or DaVinci or any of these other AI personas in order to get the answers I need faster and better?
Are we in the process of seeing another transition?
Absolutely. Hands down. What do you think?
100% agree with you guys. So one of the common misnomers is that big companies, especially in the US, are dumb. No, US companies are extremely smart and they're extremely aggressive and they see trends. And I think just recently, this morning, there are rumors that Microsoft is going to invest $10 billion into OpenAI, which is the producers of ChatGPT. So these guys, they understand disruption. They're
huge.
They're very, very savvy. So I think that you're not going to catch these guys like just sleeping like AOL was. I think you're going to see Bing integrate ChatGPT here very rapidly, and then they're going to have to figure out, you know, what does advertising look like in a ChatGPT world. The other thing is ChatGPT presents information, but it gets information from scouring the web, and you know, especially like take GitHub, which is where all the most popular place to store all your source code. ChatGPT will actually come up with programs for you. You can say, make me a program that takes in some ingredients and makes me a recipe. And you can just specify at that level and it'll produce something. Well, it didn't think about that. It didn't meditate on it. It scoured the web and then it presented this information. So it brings into some interesting questions, which is like, who actually owns that data? Should ChatGPT like cite its sources? What if it spits out a recipe that is like someone could, like I said, garbage in, garbage out? What could someone hack that and put in bad recipes, right? Poisonous recipes, and now ChatGPT is giving people poisonous recipes.
Well, let me say this before we even move from there, because I got to say this, right? So as I'm in the process of using this AI tool, one of the things I want to know is whether or not the information is plagiarized. Is this authentic? Is this original? So I take the context and I place it into a plagiarizing system in order to test it, and it comes back as 98.7% original. So yeah, it is pulling information all over the web, but it's regurgitating it in a way that it doesn't violate the original sources. Kind of like, I don't know if you guys are familiar with DALL-E, right? The DALL-E project and the images. The images that it spits back to you are original for all intents and purposes. It just takes a piece of this one that's enough to make it seem as if it is what you were ideally wanting, but at the same time, it's not infringing on the right of wherever it got this resource from. Right. And to me, you know, that's kind of powerful. Now, of course, we'd have to sit back and find out, kind of see what the legislators would do in regards to something like this, you know, because truth to form, is it in fact original? You know what I'm saying? Is it original? Is this image original? Is this context that is ChatGPT is spitting out, is it original? Because I can tell you right now, I took the tool and I was able to write up 10 blog posts in the matter of minutes rather than days.
Wow.
Yep.
In the matter of minutes. And then if you want to look at them, check out the medical assistant program blog on DSDT's website. I'm just saying, it was all written primarily by AI, you know, and that's so much I believe in it. And I would love for our community to have more expertise in it or more experiences with it so that we don't shy away from it, right? There's a wave going on, if you guys aren't familiar enough, and that's in the crypto space, blockchain development, We were talking about NFTs earlier last year.
Yeah.
Yep.
Now we see that this AI is revolutionizing the way the things that we do. You have to find your place in the space as opposed to continually to hearing about it and just sitting back and just not taking attention to it. And I think that that's more of the educational piece for DSDT and the Tech School podcast. We have to continue to get this type of information out so that people are aware of it and they take note of it and use it.
It's happening, not going anywhere.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
We can't put.
All right, so give us one of your predictions, Doug. I know you didn't have quite all day to stay with us, but give us one of those predictions that you have as far as the usage of this tool in the future.
Sure. So I think what we're going to see is the you mentioned DALL-E, which is, for those that don't know, it's you can enter a prompt and it'll produce a picture for you, and it'll produce multiple versions of that picture. ChatGPT is sort of like iMessage, where the other person's an AI bot. I think that we're going to see the chat really become very much what people do in lieu of search. I think that's the first place we're going to see it. It's going to be on the changing how people do search. Then it will evolve into that content creation. I mean, it's already pretty stellar. I've done the same thing. I mean, one practical, for anyone watching, the one practical day one benefit I've had from ChatGPT is if you're ever stuck on something, you just want to get started, you just ask ChatGPT about it. Like, oh, I want to write a blog about this. You just ask it, and then you can take it. It provides that first initial nudge, tremendously helpful. I think we'll see that first initial nudge evolve to more and more refined product. But I do think we'll see the search space get pretty rapidly disrupted here in the next year. I think that is where it starts. And then downstream, if you don't have search engines, what does the web look like, right? How does an Airbnb acquire a customer if they can't do search ads, right? I mean,
Yeah, and I believe that in the next version of the Web3, we are in the process of kind of figuring that space out, right? Because advertising is not going to be what it's been for the past 10 years in the next 5, right? And we know that that's trillions of dollars that are being accumulated by these companies. But at the end of the day, you have like OpenAI that are developing these tools that are free.
Yep.
Free. Now we say that all intents and purposes. Facebook started off, it was free, right? But we didn't realize that ultimately we were giving up data in order that they would be able to sell it out the back door.
Yep.
So I kind of have, that insight about a Chat GPT, because everything that I'm asking it, even as original that it may be, but it's being stored in that system. And it's not like someone else is not going to be able to tap into that, in order to utilize it at another time. But it's definitely an interesting space that we're getting into. The one thing I will say is,
when was it established?
Chat GPT?
Yeah.
Would you happen to know, Doug?
It's a couple of years, but it really burst onto the scene with their beta launching in December of last year.
Okay.
Yeah. And remember now, this is the latter implementation of a program that has been going on for years. Like DaVinci was one of the a system that it was built upon. So it's only going to get better. What you see now is not the version that you'll see in another 2. Or come on now, think about the iPhones, right?
With everything,
right?
It will evolve.
Right.
I'll make this to make up a prediction. I think within 10 years, there is going to be a movie made about someone from a lower class sneaking into a facility and accessing the AI of the elites and somehow achieving some sort of life breakthrough. Like, I think that this has the ability to sort of be the differentiator between like, oh, people in the upper stratosphere is not connections. It's like, what AI do you use? Right. And then so that would be the premise of like, it'll be a tightly guarded thing. And I've seen people sort of like venture capitalists say, oh, don't share this with the masses. They're not ready. Right. And they try to pretend that they're doing something noble, but really they're just trying to hoard it from themselves. But I think you'll see something like a Spielberg produce a movie about someone being sort of like Ready Player One from like a rough area, sneaking into an area and then accessing the AI of the elites. And then that'll be the basis for the movie, because that could be differentiators. Like if you have access to this technology, maybe that is because the theory is that once it becomes smart as a human or is capable, then within like 10 years, it's capable of all mankind combined. I mean, that's like the part that I think is just that exponential curve is really what catches people off guard.
I think you're so powerful in everything that you say. All right. I said earlier that it was merely a tool. When we first started our drone technology program here at DSDT, we had absolutely the first proprietary approval in the state of Michigan to be able to teach that course. And the reason that we had it was because we really did think that was going to revolutionize, that was going to be an industry in itself, yada, yada, yada. But one thing that we soon realized was that drone technology is more of a tool than an actual
source.
Exactly. It's just a tool, right? And the opportunity isn't as much there as we thought in those initial stages. So I'm kind of apprehensive by jumping into the water and say, oh, wow, the robots are coming. The robots are coming. I don't think that. I absolutely do not think that. I think that this will be a tool that evolves us, but I don't think that it's going to take over the world in the way that a Spielberg and, all these guys make the movies.
How do we get away from that? Because whenever you do say artificial intelligence, for many people, that instantly comes to mind.
Yeah, it's no different than, the first time they saw a car. You know what I'm saying? The first time, oh, no, I don't want to get it.
Didn't the automobile sort of change the face of the world? I mean, so I say if it's as impactful as the car, then I think we're talking about a pretty big change here, right?
Yeah, but everybody's not going to jump on board. We already know that. Again, hello to my mom who doesn't have a computer to this day. And so I get it. Not everybody is going to get on board, but at the same time, for those who do, especially the early participants within it, it's going to just vastly improve your life.
I mean, a slight pivot to the conversation, a slight pivot, but still same universe of the conversation. Early on, or this is in the early stages, lawmakers are discussing potentially a nationwide ban on gas-powered stoves.
Huh?
Yes.
What?
Yes.
What? I'm just saying, huh?
I mean, there could be some potential legislation in 2023 to try to push forward this conversation or effort.
Why?
Because there's a link with respiratory problems for children.
Oh, wow.
So they say. We'll see.
Yeah.
Okay.
But Carlos, let's take this back to education, right? As far as why it could be revolutionary. There is a substantial amount of people who are employed in the medical industry that do what's called coding. You get a procedure done and they enter the codes, specifically like the breakdown of your surgery, and then it gets consumed by another system. And it's a very menial and difficult process, but it's a very necessary process in our current healthcare system. Imagine with AI and there's understanding on both sides that it could say, hey, Doug had this surgery. And then the AI on their side say, okay, they had this surgery. Here are the codes, right? Because at the end of the day, it's formulaic. And if there's understanding, then you don't really need the humans there. So that's why I am inclined to say that I don't think it's like the end of the world bad. I'm not trying to say it's not. I don't picture this being like a Skynet type thing. I just think it's going to change.
Terminator, iRobot.
Yeah, exactly. It's not. I don't see the Terminator, the iRobot scenario coming. At least not soon. But I do think it sort of changes how people are educated, and then it changes what it means to sort of work in a way that is bigger than going from like a drone with 4 propellers versus a drone with 8.
Wow. Doug, as always, I am appreciative of the time that you've taken out of your busy schedule in order to come and share some of your insight. I definitely would love to have you back to have a deeper or more in-depth conversation about this. I find it so fascinating, and I definitely love to lean on those experts in whatever the topic is. And right now, you are one of those individuals for me. So I appreciate you. I want you to say hi to the wife and enjoy your time there in Florida. I'm so jealous. I'm so jealous.
Oh, no.
2 months? How you get 2 months and I get 12 days? I hate it.
Homeschool, Carlos. Homeschool.
Listen, brother, take care, and we will definitely have you back soon. All right.
Yes, sir. Great talking to you both.
Are you going down to Florida now? You're
No.
headed down to Florida?
No, I'm not going to Florida.
sure?
I'm actually going to Costa Rica
Okay.
Thursday. Costa Rica. I'm going to Costa Rica. So fascinating.
Mhm.
You know, and the reason I even more so want our students to be knowledgeable of what's going on in the world around them is I don't want them to necessarily fall victim or prey to outside influence in the sense of it being negative. Technology is not always a bad thing,
No.
right? I remember, I forget which country it was. I want to say that it was Iran. When the internet first come online, they were the country that say, oh no, our citizens would never, have access to this. Well, look what happened. It exploded around the world. You got billions of people using these things called computers that are connected to this intranet, and you don't want your country to have access to it. You got left behind, So we're in that evolutionary period, I believe, right now.
I mean, here in Metro Detroit, where you talk
Come on
about
now.
transportation,
Come on.
you talk about a transit system.
Come on.
50 plus years ago, we made the stance.
Yep. That
we drive.
Yeah. Yeah.
And now we're trying to piece together, we're trying to create a transit system here in the metropolitan area. We may have probably missed the boat on that in comparison to a Chicago,
Come on now.
New York, DC, so on and so on. The time, like there's a certain window to do certain things.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that just is just one example of it should have been done 50 plus years ago.
Yeah. But you know what? So why don't we talk about the digital divide within the city?
Sure.
And not just of Detroit, but larger cities, or many cities.
Yes.
And so we're talking about these advances that are taking place in technology right now that a vast amount of the community don't have access to, simply because they don't have broadband access. And so how do we get the next generation of thinkers to play a part of what potentially is going to revolutionize not only the world, but their communities? To me, that's where DSDT is stepping in to fill that gap. The school was based on the premise of our local community at that time having access to opportunities within tech that they otherwise wouldn't have. So what does that mean now that it's changed again? Remember, we've been here in the city of Detroit in this location since 2015. That's 7 years ago.
Yes.
7 years ago. So how do we now meet the time of what's happening with technology again and make sure that our community is prepared to take advantage of these opportunities?
We have to keep these kinds of conversations going.
Absolutely.
To express the importance.
Yep. Definitely, man.
You just have to you have to get on board.
Yeah. Definitely. Good stuff. Good stuff. All right. So this week in this segment, I like to say it that way, right? So I was in the grand scheme of things. I was in the grand scheme of things. So this past week, I myself took a lot of time and kind of revamped the school's website.
Oh, okay.
Right. Because it needed to, for one. And for two, I just felt the need to do it.
Can we bring it up before we go?
We definitely could bring it up if I could have, you know how to bring up things in the windows? Don't worry about it. I'll bring it up here in a second.
Okay.
But so in the process of doing it, I have a question that has always plagued me here at DSDT.
And that is?
My question has always been, it's real simple. Why DSDT? Why DSDT? It's something that I ask myself from time to time. And what does that really mean to me? It means that you could have chosen any other institution to attend. You could have, taken any other program, but you chose DSDT. So I think that I would like from this point on, especially in this season, to highlight students that have made a decision to come to DSDT and kind of find out, if you will, why DSDT. So today's student, our student guest that's going to be brought to us, and I know she's been waiting back there in that green room for quite some time now, right? We're going to bring on Miss Kelsey Walls to answer the question, why DSDT? Mrs. Walls, please enter the room. Ms. Walls, how are you?
I'm good.
All right. So I'm sure that I'm good. How are you?
You've had me waiting for nearly an hour. I'm
Yeah.
good, Carlos.
Okay, so I actually was in a room today talking with one of the instructors, and I noticed that she was sitting there. But here's the thing: I've been noticing her for months. She comes in, she sits in the same location for the most part, which begs the question to me, why DSDT?
All right.
You know, and I've definitely wanted her to come on and kind of share some insight as to what that means to her. So, Mrs. Walls, here is your time, your spot. Can you kind of explain to us, maybe give us a little bit of background about yourself? Because I don't know who you are from a can of paint. I'm just saying. But I do know that you are a military service member. Thank you
Yes.
for that. And kind of explain to us, if you will, why you made the conscious decision of DSDT.
From the very beginning, I felt like my education was actually just as important to the school as it was for me, which was something that I hadn't experienced before. And that was a really big thing for me because it could have just been about money. And obviously we get it because of my GI Bill, but it was actually taking the time to really invest into my education like I am.
So do you have a degree or anything from another institution of the
I
past? You don't?
No.
Have you ever attended another program with another institution?
I have.
You have. And at the end of the day, you made a decision to come to DSDT to continue that education, or are there opportunities that you're hoping that having an education from DSDT is going to bring about? I mean, can you give me some insight into that one way or the other?
I'm hoping that after this that I can start working in tech and break into that.
And which program are you in now?
The BITS program.
You're in the BITS program, Business Information Technology Specialist.
Mhm.
And which, I think you've been here for a while. How long have you been here?
Since July.
July. Since July, what, 7 months?
Yeah.
Did my math certainly right, about 7 months you've been here. And so being here since July, how has it been for you as you're coming back and forth? Now, mind you, you don't live in the city of Detroit, correct?
No, I don't.
So she comes back and forth to the school
Okay.
in order to take these programs. What does that mean as you're nearing the end of the BITS program?
Just making sure that I'm not letting obstacles get in my way, that I'm staying focused, regardless of the circumstances. That may be going on around me, it can't shift or move me.
All right. And what are your future plans once you complete this program?
Just to see wherever it is that God wants to place me, be willing and accepting of that.
Okay. Cool.
So, Mrs. Walls, I'd like to appreciate and thank you for taking out a moment. I know we had you in the green room forever. Josh is long-winded. I'm just saying.
Wow.
I'm just saying the guy from the news like to talk a lot. No. I'll take responsibility for that. All right. I would like to say thank you on behalf, especially of DSDT. You know, I was in the back earlier today and I was kind of sharing with a group. Actually, I was in a podcast earlier today with the students in the digital marketing program over here. And I was telling them how I used to walk around the halls of DSDT and I would think about those who were coming after me. You being one of those people, it makes me feel so good. I can only speak for me. When I'm here and I see you coming in every day and you doing the work. And I have on occasion a number of students who don't do the work. They don't show up, they don't take advantage fully of the opportunity that's been created for them. So I thank you, I appreciate you, and you are definitively the reason why DSDT. Thank you.
Don't have her waiting so long. next time around.
I promise you I won't, Josh.
Okay. All right. Good.
I promise you I won't do it.
All right. Good stuff, Carlos. We are back for 2023. You feeling good? You like what we're doing?
I kind of do.
All right.
I kind of do. Hey, listen, that's why I show up to do these, right?
Uh-huh.
Because of the people.
Yes.
You know, and I wish I could bring up the website right now, but you know,
We'll be sure to show it next
most
week.
definitely. The tagline for me is real people, real students, real talk.
Say that one more time.
Real people, real students, real talk. Right? I mean, that's our motto over the seasons that we've been doing this now.
Yes.
It just resonates. It is what it is. We talk to so many different industries experts, you know, within their respective fields, as well as the students who we continue to have these conversations with. It's not necessarily about just DSDT. It's about all of this.
Digital divide. Bridging that gap.
Absolutely. Thank you,
All
my
right.
friend. I appreciate you again this week.
Appreciate you too, brother. And once again, Happy New Year.
Feliz Años Nuevos.
Okay. I'll take it. All right. I'm working on my Espanol. All right. That will do it for the Tech School podcast powered by DSDT. We will see you next week. Happy New Year, everybody. 2023 in full effect. See ya.